What is up? My name is D-Free. Welcome back to another Dokkan Battle video. Today we're going to go ahead and formulate a team. We've already done this, but now that Broly's out, I kind of have to go ahead and probably make some changes. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at Extreme TEQ and the team option for that. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, of course, because we do this type of thing all the time, and I give you guys my perspective, and hopefully I empower you guys to become better at the game and team building and strategizing and things like that. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the Extreme TEQ unit. So we're going to go ahead and sort here. If you haven't seen what Broly does, a breakdown on Broly, go ahead and check out the video that I put out earlier today. It's called, like, he doesn't have over in a flash. Oh my god, it's not even that big of a deal, but that's the beginning of the title. You can go ahead and check that out, and you can learn all about Broly and what he does, good and bad, because I was super tired. I had just woken up, and there aren't as many like super good things that I say about him, but I think it's a good unit, if that means anything. I think he's kind of middling among the God leads, but that's just me. We'll have to visit that again. Like, I'm sure Alex will try to ask me to to do a team building video, not a team building video, excuse me, a top 5 extreme God leads now, or like top 10, because all 10 of them are out, barring like any villain or hero ones, but still, you have 10, 2 for each type now. So, all right, this is what we're doing. I am going to use the revered God Tao Pai Pai, or Mercenary Tao, as the Broly placeholder. So that's Broly. He's got, matter of fact, I'll actually just kind of get Broly. It's okay. We'll actually get Broly because he honestly has like the same link set as physical Broly, now that I think about it. I don't think there are too many different links on him. I think that they share pretty much the same link set, aside from, what's the link? Aside from limit breaking form. We'll go ahead and sort this. Is there a sort option? There was a sort option, but I don't see it. It's there it is. I looked at it. We're gonna sort him by attack. We're gonna kick Tao. We're gonna kick Tao off in a minute. All right, so Broly, come in, and Tao, you're down here. Tao actually has really high attack, apparently. Goodbye, though. And we're gonna take off the physical units because we don't care about them. All right, no more physicals. We're just looking at the tech options. So let me go ahead and weigh my thoughts on this. So, long story short, Broly gets better offensively but loses defense. So he's not a viable unit to throw into a horde. I mean, it's something that every Broly card in the game struggles from. They all lose defense or have really low base defense. Basically, the only one that has really low base defense is the physical God lead one, because he doesn't actually lose defense, but the other ones do lose it. LR, the original, which, shout out to Broly though. I'm not too hyped about this, but shout out to Broly for having one God lead of every generation. The original 3 key and 3000, and then the second generation, the 70%, the 70% all stats, and then 3 key, the physical Broly, and then LR Broly, and now this Broly for the 120%. The LR Broly gives 90% to STR units and 3 key. This one's giving the 3 key to tech. So Broly's got like tons of cards in the game. It's funny too, because this one comes out right after LR, pretty close after, not directly after, but pretty close. So anyways, so we have Broly here. He has limit breaking form. I think that's the only link that this one doesn't have. Let's take a look at his link set. He doesn't have Saiyan Warrior Race. He trades that for limit breaking form. He doesn't have resentment to King Vegeta. Okay, so pretty much the same link set, aside from that. Linsen Readiness is Prepare for Battle. That's Super Fierce Battle, as it says. Berserker, Saiyan Lineage, Super Saiyan. He trades this for Saiyan Warrior. He trades Saiyan Warrior Race, I believe, for limit breaking form, and he has another link. Let's go to the Reddit. If I can make sure I got all the infos, Broly's should be right here. Okay, so Berserker. Oh, he has Nightmare. That was the other link. I knew he had another link. So he has Nightmare. Okay. So pretty much the same link set. So off the bat, this guy's best friend is Mass Saiyan. So as you see here, they share 5 links. They share 5 links with, you know, the actual Broly card anyway. So Mass Saiyan is really good because he's going to be able to tank hits. Mass Saiyan does a couple things for you that are really good for this team. He tanks hits, right, because he gets plus 20,000 defense. He already has a base 4,000 defense, assuming you haven't put any orbs to him, which it would be higher at that point. So 4,143 under 2 120% leaders, i.e. the Broly being the leader, means this guy's defense will already naturally be around like 40,000, just spitballing, including the passive. So his defense is so high that he's going to be one of the best tanks available to you. And then also he gets the 50,000 attack, so he's going to hit really hard. He's got an immense modifier. So Mass Saiyan is the jack of all trades. He's going to be able to do those things majority of the time because of his passive, right? His passive does have a restriction. I believe it's when it's fighting 2 or less enemies. So if you get in a situation where there's 3 enemies, he won't have his passive. But what he does do still is he lowers the enemy's attack. So lowering the enemy's attack allows Mass Saiyan himself to tank better. It also allows Broly to tank a little bit better because that will go a long way for Broly because Broly himself loses a lot of defense. Like I said, check out that video, but basically Broly loses 10% defense per orb that he gets. So, you know, generally a lot of times it's better to give them as many orbs as you can kind of string off depending on like your orb rotations, but you're gonna have to play seriously like concerned about Broly unless you've gotten a lot of debuffs with Mass Saiyan. I don't know why Bandai decided right before Gotenks dropped that they're just gonna start balancing these cards out. Him and Gotenks are balanced, although I will say Broly, the thing about Broly is his defense has, I mean, I guess it could go down to 0, so that is a bit of a restriction. It can go as far down as to 0 defense depending on how many orbs he gets, but his attack increase doesn't have a limit on how many orbs he can get. He's basically a nuker that starts off with a massive attack increase and a high attack stat anyway. So, but he loses all of his defense. So like he is averaged out. So basically Broly's a suicide card. If you hit them and you don't kill them, you're basically going to get hit really hard back. Somebody commented that defense doesn't matter earlier. Defense doesn't matter as long as you don't lose defense. Like characters that just naturally have like 4,000 defense on average, it doesn't matter on those units. As long as they're not losing their defense, they're fine. You can't applaud units that get higher defense like Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta and become better tanks. Even as LR Zamasu, like you can't applaud those units, but also say on the back end, it doesn't matter if they lose defense. It matters a lot. Because that could be the difference between life or death. Now, I don't think that Broly will ever get one shot, but it could happen against like an intelligence boss if his defense gets low enough, especially if they hit you 4, 5, 6 times in that turn. Also factoring that your whole team will be at a type disadvantage against an intelligence boss, but that's very few and far between. Either way, you're gonna probably have to heal though, and that'll probably knock off Frieza's his passive. So this is why Frieza doesn't make the team. So I've seen a lot of love for Frieza lately in regards to this team, and it doesn't bother me. I like that Frieza's getting love because he's a hard-hitting unit, relatively hard-hitting unit, and he also tanks really well. Like, I love that, and for the longest time, myself and so many other people bagged on him to the point where it became really hard to be positive about him, and anytime I'd use him, people were like, oh, why are you using Frieza? And I'm like, well, upon further consideration, he's really good. You know, he does have his issues. I wish he didn't have a 50% restriction, but he does have his issues. Now, that being said, Frieza is a solid filler unit. Like, if you don't have, like, the first 5, 6, 7 units I'm going to recommend in this video, Frieza is a very solid option for your team when it comes to you specifically. But I'm looking at this from a perspective of every unit available in the game, right? There are a few other guys that are really good filler units, like these Boo cards, the Kid Boo, what is it, South Kai Absorbed Boo, Super Boo, Texel won't be on the team, but he's a good option. Nova Shenron is a sneaky good option. Cooler, this free-to-play Tech Android 13 is a good option. Bio Broly, who was originally on my original iteration of this team, is a good option. A lot of these cards are really good options. So it just depends on what you want to do specifically. But the problem with Frieza is you will be at a deficit if Broly ever gets hit. Now, once again, you have to take it with a grain of salt because a lot of times, and it goes for all the God leads, they can one-shot a lot of these phases of these bosses, but you also have to consider whether or not you are going to be in a situation where you can't one-shot. And if you don't, you're below that 50% meter. It's Frieza's turn on rotation. He's going to be dead weight. He can't hit hard in that scenario because he loses his attack increase, which is the other problem with him. And he also can't tank for you. He also doesn't lower the enemy's attack, so he literally has no value on top of not linking well with the team by Frieza. You don't deserve a spot on optimal tech, but you're a good filler unit if you can avoid that scenario. So I feel like Mass Saiyan is good enough to be able to mitigate most of the damage. And another unit that I think is really good that can help with that is Turles. So the Rebirth Turles event specifically, so this is the one from the World Tournament, the Tech Turles that was a tournament prize. He gets a lot better with the Rebirth. He gets a turn restriction though, which kind of sucks, but he does have the ability to start off with +3 ki himself. So that's good for him. He starts off with 3 extra ki for himself, so he's self-sufficient. along with having Prepare for Battle, which Broly has. Broly doesn't have Over and Flash. He's the first SS3 without Over and Flash, but he has Prepare for Battle. Damn it, Bandai, make up your mind. But I'm happy he has that because it links really well on this team. So you have Turles, and he also has, I think, a 7-turn restriction. I don't see the number 7 in here, but I think it's a 7-turn restriction, attack and defense up. Let's actually go ahead and pull up Turles on the Dokkan Wiki. There you are. Sometimes the information on the wiki is a little funny, though. Yeah, key +3 and plus 60% to attack and defense at the start of the turn. And his base defense, this is the good thing. His base defense is 5,200. Under double 120% Broly leaders, improving his defense. He's going to get really good. He's also going to get 60% more on top of that. He has a high chance to stun, which is also defensive value, 50% improvement. And to boot, he can also hit relatively hard, and he has a farmable super attack. Turles is totally worth an option on this team. Very good unit. Only problem is the 7-turn restriction, but either way, see, the cool thing about that is either way, when he loses that passive, if it's taking you that long, which it may or may not, depending on your units and their SA levels and stuff like that, a lot of variables. But the good thing about that is he still can stun at a 50% clip, which gives you more defensive leeway for Broly. If Broly's in a scenario where his defense is down because you want to fill up the board with orbs, you can do that because he's stunned. Of course, you could take the turn in a different scenario with a Ghost Usher item, whatever, right? There are situational differences, but that stun will give you a little bit more wiggle room. So you're good to go in that regard. Now, ideally, your next couple slots would come for these guys, right? You'd factor in Mass Saiyan, or not Mass Saiyan, excuse me, he's already there, but Merge Zamasu and the LR Zamasu card, basically. Just both the Zamasus there, the LR card. I'm not an advocate for running that card and this card together. I know Alex is doing that. I told him, like, you basically don't need to because they're both slow cards. You don't really get a benefit from having a best buddy for him. I mean, Merge Zamasu is good enough. They're both slow cards. It doesn't work the same way as TUR Broly and LR Broly STR on the same team. It doesn't work the same way. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove him from the team. But ideally, this will be your next scenario. You have these two guys here, and unfortunately, Merge Zamasu does not have Prepare for Battle. He only has Fused Fighter. So the only links he's sharing with these guys is Fierce Battle. So he's only sharing Fierce Battle with those two. So he's going to basically be an off-rotation unit, which is fine. Turles is pretty cool. What links do they share here? What is that? Big Bad Bosses. Okay, so he shares Big Bad Bosses with Turles and the LR. So on this team, Big Bad Bosses isn't super prevalent. I've said that before, but it can be a bit more prevalent if you incorporate more of it. So basically, we built the team of 6, and this is what it would look like. I would go ahead and venture that this would probably be optimal tech, extreme tech. This team right here, probably the best possible one you can formulate. Now, there is some wiggle room, especially for the people that don't have the LR, which is probably majority of players. So you're gonna go ahead and take him off and just incorporate Tech 17. 17 does have Big Bad Bosses. He links almost as well with Merge Zamasu. He also is a key support unit by generating orbs, which Broly will love offensively. It's not that big of a deal because you have Mass Saiyan lowering the enemy's attack. Also, you have Ghost Ushers to play with. You have Icarus, Whis, whatever. And then you also have Turles' ability to stun in there for you as well. And does this guy do something extra gimmicky? Super damage to your opponent. He doesn't do anything. Oh, okay. He doesn't have a stun or anything. That kind of sucks, but it's not a big deal. And also, if you need a little bit more defensive versatility, Bio Broly could slide in there. Now, people have asked me about Texel. Texel could be a very good offensive and defensive option because he gets an improvement. I'm going to say that he's going to suffer from the same issue as Merge Zamasu in this team because Merge Zamasu doesn't link well with anybody aside from basically 17 pretty much. Since he doesn't have Prepare for Battle. That actually is a really big shaft from Merge Zamasu. That didn't matter until now. He's not very cohesive on the team. You could run a third key supporter in his place if you really wanted to, or Turles' place. But I assume, honestly, as funny as it sounds, I think Turles offers more to this team than Merge Zamasu does because of the intangibles like I mentioned earlier. He's not going to hit anywhere near as hard at all. But I think the intangibles probably go a little bit further. And also Turles' ability to be self-sufficient. So if he's like off rotation, which he probably would be most of the time, he can still get a super off if he doesn't get the most desirable rotation for himself. So my next few options I'd say that are pretty good would be, like I said, Bio Broly and the guys I mentioned earlier in the video. They could be solid replacement options for this team. Also, that possessed Gohan, still a player here. King Piccolo, still a player here. If you want to go ahead and put in more actual support as opposed to a unit like Super 17, who's actually really good. He has big bad bosses, Nightmare, Fear and Faith, Fierce Battle, one of the 3 available SSR base cards, not Transcending UR, but SSRs that have Fierce Battle. So very good there. So a lot of viable options for the team. If you have the LRs, I've already shown you an option for that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. If you're not subscribed to the Duel Links channel, the link is down below. If you're interested in Duel Links content, go ahead and give us a subscribe over there. Don't subscribe if you're not interested. Of course, I'm not asking you that. But if you are interested, go ahead and subscribe. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have an awesome day, guys. Peace.